Greetings family, greetings, happy Friday. I hope you are well. My name is June Allen from juneallen.net and I'm a racial wellness educator and mentor. Oh gosh, I just really wanted to hop on and just have a really quick chat and just say thank you to all the people that have reached out to me with regards to the Wounded Daughters series that I've been doing. It's really struck a chord with a lot of people, with a lot of women, and it's been quite humbling and also really quite sad to hear that, you know, there are so many women that are still walking around with these wounds around their mothers. But I also feel really grateful that they feel confident enough to actually reach out to me and share their stories and share how, you know, share their vulnerability with me and tell me how difficult they found it and that they feel lost and, you know, low self-esteem and all of that kind of stuff. And so yeah, you know, this is why I do the work that I do. This is why I wanted to do this series for wounded black daughters, because it is so needed and it's such a taboo topic that people don't really, they find it hard to talk about it, number one, but there's not really anywhere to process it. There's not really anywhere to process it. And I remember feeling the same way when I, you know, went through this situation, difficult situation with my own mother. I didn't have anywhere to process it, except in therapy. That's not always an option for people to have therapy. So, yeah, it was important for me to kind of just give women a platform so they can start to have that conversation. So, what am I going to share? What do I really want to share? I just want to say to you that there is hope and you don't have to suffer. You don't have to suffer. And most importantly, that you're not alone. You're not alone. You're not the only person that's going through this stuff. And I've had that in my inbox as well, people thinking that they're the only one going through this stuff, and you're not. And it is important to understand that, you know, this is also part of the system of racism as well. This is in turn for a lot of us black women, a lot of us black mothers that behave the way they behave. It's internalized racism. This is the scars of slavery that haven't been dealt with. You can't expect to... Okay, I'm going to wait until I come out of this tunnel. As a people, we can't expect to go through 500 years of slavery, trauma, Jim Crow, you know, and still ongoing racism, and for there not to be consequences. You know, none of my ancestors went to therapy. None of our ancestors went to therapy when they left the slave plantations. And so all of that torture, all of that pain that they went through, that heinous pain, has to go somewhere. And a lot of the times it's been recycled back inside our families. It's been recycled back inside our families. And so what's happened is the mothers that behave that way, they don't know how to manage their pain. They don't know how to manage their pain. So it ends up in being abusive to the children. It gets acted out. It gets acted out. And this is in no way excusing the behavior, because at the end of the day, we have to be truthful to ourselves about that abuse for us to get well and actually break that cycle. I understand that people that behave that way, they're also victims as well. They're victims of racism, white supremacy as well. But that's not an excuse to ignore it or put up with it or kind of deny our own healing because we're more committed to the wound than we are to healing. Don't use your mother's story or the fact that she's also a victim of white supremacy to stop your healing, because that doesn't work. And ultimately the cycle is just going to continue, because if you don't deal with it, you're just going to pass it on to your children in one form or another. It might not be in the same way, but that stuff is going to get recycled. That stuff is going to get recycled. If you want to rebuild the legacy for your children, if you want to end your own suffering, you have to find an outlet. You have to find a support system, a support network to let that stuff go. You have to let that stuff go. But you can't just let it go just because someone says it. You have to do it in a way that is intentional and strategic, and in a way that is empathetic and loving and compassionate, and also non-judgmental. That's another thing that's really, really hard for wounded daughters. You know, other people that don't have mothers that are abusive, their first conversation is, oh, it's your mom, you only got one mom, you have to honor your parents, all that kind of stuff. But if you haven't been through that situation, you need to close your mouth, because you don't understand what it's like to be in a situation where the people that are supposed to love you and take care of you are the ones that are actually causing the abuse. That is the most painful thing to deal with. So don't, if somebody comes to you and says and talks to you about a mum that's been abusive, for God's sake, don't start telling them all that stuff. Because if it was her boyfriend that was telling you the same thing, you would say to her, oh, you need to leave him, oh, he's this, oh, he's that. But as soon as people have the courage to say it's the parent that's being abusive, the conversation changes. Oh, you have to forgive them. You have to. That's not always an option. It's not always an option, because sometimes it gets to a point where it's between your mental well-being and staying in that relationship, and that is really hard. So don't be quick to judge people, to judge other women, or anybody for that matter, that has made the choice to actually, stop contact with a parent. And sometimes when you lose contact with a parent, that's the most loving thing that you can do for yourself and that person, because sometimes that person just doesn't have the tools. Sometimes the mother doesn't have the tools because it's triggering for her. There might have been stuff that's gone on in her life that you don't know about, and she can't love you, she can't be there for you, because she can't be there for herself. That's a really important thing that you have to remember. In order for a parent to be able to empathize with you, she's got to be empathetic to herself. She's got to understand and be truthful about her own feelings. And if she's had stuff that's happened to her that's painful, she ain't going to be able to empathize and be empathetic to what you're going through, because she ain't had it herself. And again, that's not an excuse. That's just facts. That's just facts. So what's the solution? The solution is you've got to learn how to self-parent. You've got to learn how to self-parent. You've got to learn how to be compassionate towards yourself. You've got to take time for yourself. You've got to invest. It doesn't necessarily mean money. If you haven't got money, you've got to invest time and energy into it. That's what I did. I mean, I've been in therapy for years. But I made that commitment that I wanted to. This was so important to me in terms of breaking the generational cycle and being a parent and doing something different. I chose to invest, and I still choose to invest in my therapy. It's the best money I've ever spent, because my mental well-being and my legacy is my currency. Your legacy is your currency. Your children's legacy is their wealth. Your emotional wealth is wealth. Your emotional wealth is their wealth as well. So you've got to take the time to decide what you want to do. This is the last day today to get your tickets for the Wounded Daughters series. If you're scared of becoming like your mum, this is no disrespect to your mum, but if you're really scared of becoming like her, if she's abusive, and you want to stop the cycle, you can join this webinar. If you go to daughters.juneallen.net, you can get the tickets there. If you can't attend live, it's tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. All the details and everything are in the link on the website. If you can't attend live, there's going to be a replay that's also going to be available, so you can pick it up there. So yeah, let's just start doing the work. You know, you have to stop the venting and complaining and take action. It's time. It's your time. It's your turn. daughters.juneallen.net. I'll see you there.